Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Banterly, the Gen Z podcast about pop culture, media, and everything in between. My name is Aidan, one of your hosts, and today we are joined by content creator Maddi Koch.
Okay. And so a man and his wife are traveling in one of those self-driving cars, and all of a sudden it flips and crashes. And so they crawl out of the car, and they're met by three men that they've never seen before, and they shoot his wife right in front
Her
of him.
TikTok account,
What do they do
at
with him?
Maddi Koch, has
They
over
terrorize
3
him
million
and
followers. She's known for her series, POV, You're Telling Your Friend About a Movie. Maddi, we're so excited to have you on Banterly.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Tell me more about yourself. I've seen some of your videos.
I got started on TikTok in my dorm room. I initially refused to download it because it looked really addicting. And then I had roommates in my dorm room who would swap videos, and it looked really funny because they would send videos of people throwing cheese at cars. And I started getting really jealous. So I downloaded it. And then a few days later, I just decided to make a video, and everybody told me not to because it was really cringy. But I did it anyways, and it was really cringy. But then the next day I woke up with like a bunch of followers, and I just decided, like, let's just go with this. And then started posting a bunch of videos, and then went into movies, and it got a lot of views. And I just decided, like, hey, this is where I'm gonna go with this. This is my passion. I love movies so much, and I've been here ever since. That's why I'm here on Earth. Movies.
Amazing. We're so excited to have you. We've never had a TikToker on before. Where are you based?
So I'm based in Charleston, South Carolina. A lot of people don't know that about me. I was actually up in New York for a little bit, and everybody thinks I'm based in New York. I have family up there, so I just kind of go back and forth.
It's so funny you're from Charleston because I don't know if you're a fan of reality TV, but just yesterday I started watching Southern Charm, which takes place in Charleston. And so I've been kind of seeing that city for the first time on this show.
Everybody talks about it down here. Like whenever I say I like live in Charleston, people are like, "Have you seen Southern Charm?" And I haven't. That's pretty bad. I feel like it's bad that I haven't seen it because I feel like that's the one thing that I should see living down here. But I'm not a Southern girl. That's the thing. I'm from the North.
You're just a transplant. You're not part of the
I am a
whole
transplant.
experience.
But you meet anybody down here in Charleston, and 90% of the time they're going to be a transplant. And a lot of them are from New York.
Let's get into our question of the day, which is, if you had a personal robot companion, what would you want it to do for you?
Okay, listen, I'm one of those people that will not wake up in the morning. I will set 6 alarms and I will not wake up to any of them. I'm one of those people that, like, if I wake up at like 6 because I like have to pee or something, I should get up like at that one moment. Like something is telling me you should get up now, because if I go back to sleep, I will not get up. Like my boyfriend will drag me out of bed. He'll scream at me because I beg him to. I need a robot to slap me awake, like drag me out of bed, slam me against the wall. It takes a lot to wake me up.
Wow. Do you want it to be like a life-sized robot? Do you want it to be like human-sized? Do you want it to be like a little tiny thing that just goes on your face
No,
and
it should
like
be life
slaps
size.
you? Okay.
It
Oh,
should
okay.
scare me awake. It should terrify me.
Does it stay in the corner of your room all day, or does it come out just to wake you up and then it goes back into its little cage?
You've seen horror movies, right?
Yeah.
Like they stand in the corner of your room and they like look at you like this. I need that to wake me up. You should be like woken up with like a slight, like your heart should skip like 3 beats. You don't need coffee. You don't need an energy drink.
Yeah, it's nature's caffeine. Well, my answer was what you said, that you don't need it for cleaning and doing laundry, because I feel like that's what I need it for. I'm a morning person, so I don't have to worry about that, but I do have to worry about cleaning. And I live alone now, and so what I used to share with my roommate, cleaning duties, now falls on me as one person. And I actually do have those Roborock, the vacuum circle thing. So I do have a robot that actually does vacuum for me. So I have one step, but I know it needs to like clean the bathroom. It needs to clean the kitchen, it needs to wipe a surface, all those things that I spend time doing that I just don't need to if a robot can. And I feel like that's not far off if they already have one that can clean my floors.
You've seen what like Elon Musk is working on, right?
I can't keep up. What is he doing?
He's working on the robot, like an actual like robot that's will do whatever you want.
Wow, what does it look like? Like, do they have images of it yet, or is it just
Yeah, oh, it's, like, kind of built. Unless someone's pranking me and this is, like, a whole, like, fake thing, like, it's, like, a legit thing. They're coming out. It's 2025, Aidan.
I know, I gotta wake up and smell the robots. It's here.
It's gonna be my new quote for the year.
Wake up and smell the robots. Well, if you couldn't guess, on the subject of robots, today we're talking all about the new Netflix sci-fi action movie, The Electric State. It was just released on March 14th, currently streaming on Netflix, and had a super, super duper brief theatrical run. So you might have been lucky and seen it in the theaters.
We all lost something after the rebellion. Robots lost their freedom. Humans lost connection with each other.
It's directed by the Russo brothers, Anthony and Joe, but this was a pretty stacked cast. But Millie Bobby Brown is the main character. She plays Michelle Green. Chris Pratt is her kind of helper sidekick guy named John D. Keats. Ke Huy Quan is Dr. Clark. Stanley Tucci is Ethan Skate. Woody Harrelson plays Mr. Peanut. Jenny Slate is Penny Powell.
I am a very big Millie Bobby Brown fan. Like, I am a stan. I don't know why. I've just, ever since she was in Stranger Things, I was like, it's like freshman year of high school when I became a fan of her. So this was like many, many, many years ago. I was like, wait, she's such an adorable girl. Like, we have a few, like maybe like 2 or 3 years in age difference. Like, I love her. I just decided to become a fan. I know that she gets kind of like a lot of hate with whatever she does for literally, I genuinely cannot give a reason for why she gets so much hate. She's living her life. And I don't know why she would, like, her whole life growing up, she just doesn't receive a lot of love. She gets picked apart, and I don't know why, is what I'm trying to say.
She does. We had an episode about Meghan Markle a couple weeks ago, and similar thing where like I can't really figure out why people hate her so much, but they do, whether it's warranted or not. I don't hate Millie Bobby Brown. I don't think about her enough to hate her, but I think that what I've noted, I really love Stranger Things. And I think my only qualm with her is I haven't seen enough of her as an actress to see what type of range she has. And it all just seems the same, which it probably isn't her fault. She just is stuck doing these horrible Netflix things. I don't know where she sold her soul or for how much money, but she is Netflix's little person. They love her at Netflix, which, I mean, get the check, Millie. Go off. But I think it's just so funny. I think Millie Bobby Brown is just that persona that is so memeable from when she entered the industry when she was, I don't know, 12. And I just think back to those videos of her like posing during the press tour for Stranger Things. People made fun of her, but like I would do that too. If I was doing that behind closed doors, you better believe if I was given that audience, I would do it there. And her singing Imagine with the, ooh, you may say I'm a dreamer. You know that video?
You may say I'm a dreamer.
That's crazy. And then my favorite one that my brother really loves, he really likes Millie Bobby Brown, but is the recurring joke that Millie Bobby Brown is some horrible homophobic person. Like that one kills me.
Somebody just put like the Snapchat filter, like the bar with the caption over that, and people just ran with it. And I will say, as a child, like a literal child, she didn't understand that. Most of the world probably understood that that is a joke and we're not taking that like seriously. We know you're not homophobic. We know you're probably like an ally, obviously. But she did take that to heart because she doesn't want anybody to think she's homophobic. I think she deleted her social media for a while. She got rid of her TikTok because people were making fun of her for having like a partnership with like Samsung or whatever. And they bullied her for having green text. Now that her partnership is over, now she has an iPhone and people just pick her apart for literally anything. And now it's like she's getting married like too young or her wedding or this and that. And like, I just feel so bad for her and like, or what she's wearing or whatever. Like, She's just trying to live her life. And she really blew up in the spotlight. Like, Stranger Things changed her life, and it was very quick. It was a lot to handle at once. And her parents also played a very big part in that, and was rumored to be that her parents were a very like toxic part of her life. So now that she's married and like truly, truly like on her own, I think she just has a lot to take in at once.
And kudos to her for staying level-headed throughout all of this craziness the past 10 years. Like, I know a lot of people would, yeah, I think she probably has a great support system because we've seen a lot of child stars go off the deep end. I'm rooting for her. I really I wish her the best, I'm not that she cares what Aidan thinks, but it's, you're all good. You're all good, Millie. Keep doing what you're.
I was never really a runner. The way I see running is a gift, especially when you have stage 4 cancer. I'm Anne. I'm running the Boston Marathon, presented by Bank of America. I run for Dana-Farber Cancer Institute to give people like me a chance to thrive in life, even with cancer.
Join Bank of America in helping Anne's cause. Give if you can at BofA.com/supportAnne. What would you like the power to do? References to charitable organizations is not an endorsement by Bank of America Corporation. Copyright 2025.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Doing. On that note, let's get into the movie. So, The Electric State was adapted from Simon Stalinog's 2018 illustrated novel of the same name.
I honestly did not know this was based on a novel or a comic. I'm also not like a comic book reader. Like, that stuff is cool. I just like can't get into that for whatever reason. So it's like set in like 1990. It's on before the war on robots.
For years, they never complained about working around the clock. But the day eventually came when they grew tired of the lives we assigned them and demanded lives of their own.
The robot rights movement gathered steam today as thousands of robots descended on St. Louis.
Millie Bobby Brown, who plays Michelle Green, she's watching her brother take this test, and he's like insanely smart, like apparently smarter than like Einstein for whatever reason. And he's going to college like really early. I can't really tell what age she's supposed to be playing, but I think it's supposed to be like under 16 because there's a point where she can't really drive. Like, she asks like, do you know how to drive? Or maybe she just doesn't know how to drive and she's like 17 and she just never learned. But then it cuts to present day, post-war, and basically the robots kind of went like a little crazy, and they're like, we want rights, we don't really want to work.
Do you hear yourself?
No, bots have an on-off switch.
Let me finish. We deserve the right to liberty, deserve freedom from servitude.
They deserve the right to work for me when I plug them in. And when they don't, it's off to the garbage.
Ethan Skate, who is played by Stanley Tucci, he creates the Neurocaster, and it saves everything, which was really interesting to me because he creates kind of basically a robot to fight the robots. But the Neurocaster is basically what made me think of Severance. It splits your brain into two so you can be at work and have fun, like work and pleasure at once. So it splits your brain. You sit in this chair or whatever, and you put it on your head, and you can be in this one robot and then be in another robot at the same time and be in like a meadow while you can also be working. And so they're working and they're fighting the robots, right? They're fighting this war or whatever, and they come to an agreement and they sign a treaty with, this was weird, Bill Clinton.
These acts demand a strong response. As of today, we are at war with the robot population, and any U.S. citizen...
Why was he there, and how did that work out? Like, did the real Bill Clinton, like, agree to have his likeness in this movie, or did they AI him, or, like, what was that?
It looked AI to me, like, the way he was, like, turning over to shake his it's like what's that thing, like a deep fake or whatever, where they plaster an old face? Because when he turned to the side, he didn't really turn to the side, his face, and I was like, "Oh, yeah, we're in the '90s, that makes sense." I was like, "Okay, Bill Clinton, what are you doing here?" But then, no, he was president for a while.
Right. Well, yeah, okay, so Bill Clinton was in the movie. Did he get IMDb creds? I don't know. But the robots stopped rebelling.
And any U.S. citizen harboring a robot will be met with charges of treason.
And then that's pretty much it. And then the world post-war was not great. And Millie was just chilling in her foster home because her whole family was in a car and they hit a deer and they all apparently died. But then her brother apparently didn't die, found a robot to put his brain into, found his sister, and was like, we need to find my body, and they need to find him.
The whole thing is Millie and this robot with her brother's spirit inside go on this adventure to try to find where his body is. And that's when they meet Chris Pratt's character and the gaggle of robots that live in their special robot zone led by Mr. Peanut. Is this premise scary to you? Does it seem like that's where we're going to as a society with the increase in AI and, like we talked about earlier, Elon Musk, I guess, trying to make robots?
That's kind of funny that you asked me that because I think about that quite often. I'm kind of on the fence because I do think about that, and my answer is yes for the most part. And I think that a lot of people are addicted to their tablet, to their phone, like to their computer, and they're always thinking about the innovation process. So I think of people like Elon Musk, like how can we almost kind of like not weaponize this, but how can we make our lives easier and not always for the better? And how can we almost make our lives kind of like the electric state? But then you see videos on the internet of people doing what Elon Musk is doing. And I see the comments, and the comments are always like, we don't need this, stop doing this. So that brings me back to like, oh, I have faith in humanity a little bit. Like there would be people like me in the world who don't want this. I don't want the world to be like all just computers. Like I do enjoy the world as it is right now, where we have a good balance of like AI, where if I really wanted to, I could ask ChatGPT how to like do this simple thing, but I can also do this thing on my own. Like I don't need like a whole Elon Musk robot to clean my house. Like I can do it myself. Like I don't want to feel hopeless is my point. So I do kind of fear for the world. Like, do you?
I do. Us being this around the same age, I'm grateful that we didn't have all this AI stuff in high school because I speak to younger students and they're so reliant on it. And I'm like, wow, you can't think for yourself. You can't do this for yourself. It's kind of crazy. And I don't personally use, like, I'll mess around with ChatGPT and be like, me and my friends like to do, write us a script with these characters, and then we just perform it just for shits and giggles. But I don't ever use it for work. But it is a topic that we talk about at work because I'm a journalist by trade. That's my day job. And you know, the rise of AI, and it can just write, it can take information and then write it. So one day, my job may not even be a thing. And so I'm less scared for me I don't think, how do I phrase this? I'm more scared for the younger generations who are not going to be as independent as we had to be. And even I'm sure our parents looking at us and they're like, I didn't even have the internet. I didn't have Google. Like, I'm sure it's this generational shift that just everybody thinks that the younger generation has it this way versus the easier way when I was a kid. But I do think it's a little bit scarier with AI because nobody's dealt with this before ever. So that does scare me.
I'm starting to feel old now that you say that because that's like the Neurocaster in the movie. That's kind of freaking me out. Some people want to live in that. And there are pros and cons to everything. Like, what if you want to hang out with your friend that lives in Italy? Like, that's cool. But I think that there is a limit to everything. And sometimes people want to push beyond that, and that can get dangerous. There's a limit to literally everything.
It's time for basketball, and Uber Eats is dropping deals on game day favorites to keep you locked in on the action. Like when you're craving a buzzer beater, but also buffalo wings. Or when an upset makes you want to ugly cry into a pizza. And right now, Uber Eats has game day deals from McDonald's, Popeyes, Pizza Hut, Wendy's, and hundreds more local favorites. So you can keep your eyes on the ball and your hands on a hamburger. Order now, only on Uber Eats. Product availability varies by region. See app for details.
Uh-oh, the last cookie.
You can get a new box of cookies in as fast as an hour with Walmart Express Delivery.
Are you my guilty self-conscience?
No, I'm the voice offering you promo code EXPRESS for free delivery on your first order.
Hey, who ate my cookies?
You mean, these cookies?
Order now. Welcome to your Walmart. Promotion valid for first express delivery order. $50 minimum subject to availability. Restrictions apply.
Back to the movie. What was your experience like watching it? What were your first thoughts? Did you like it?
You know, when you're not in the right space for a movie and you're just like, I got to turn this off. I got to watch it again. Because for the first time, it was kind of just boring to me. The second time, I was like, I'm just going to give this a fair shot again. And if I'm going to be honest, if somebody were to ask me how the movie was, I don't think it was that bad. Like, people are giving it a half a star on Letterboxd, and I don't think it was a great movie. But I never want to be like a bandwagon person or just what the mob is saying. It wasn't that bad, guys. Like, it wasn't like so bad. I'm seeing Letterboxd reviews saying like, let's throw tomatoes at the Russo brothers. Like, they deserve jail time. And like, maybe like 24 hours in jail, but not like prison time. It wasn't that bad. Like, it wasn't like the worst thing in the world. Like, with $350 million, you can't make like literal garbage, but it wasn't great. It was not a good movie. The script was terrible. Was your experience good? Did you watch it twice, 3 times?
I watched it only once. My brain could only take this once. I do not love watching sci-fi stuff. It has to be very particular for me to enjoy it. At this ripe old age of 24, like, I can't. Maybe when I was 12, it was easier.
I do think maybe I would enjoy this movie if I were 10.
Yes. I think so too.
If you were to go into this movie not knowing everything that the media is saying about this and how everybody's hating on it, because again, the whole mob mentality thing, if you were to go into this movie not knowing all that, as like maybe like a 12-year-old, just watch it, you'd probably be like, okay, that was an all right movie.
No, I agree. The visuals were nice. The technology was cool. I will say that I was hooked from one of the first scenes because I'm from St. Louis, and there was like Mr. Peanut was giving a speech right under the St. Louis Arch.
We were built to work, but never for ourselves. Our destiny isn't theirs to decide.
So I was like, like hometown pride, like my little sensors went up and I was like, I'm sad. That was probably my favorite part of the movie.
That was the peak.
It peaked in the first 5 minutes.
The peak was at the very beginning. Yeah.
Exactly. And then it was downhill from there. The writing wasn't great. I also felt like in the beginning, we kind of just jumped in to the middle and I didn't quite know like who these two people are. Why should I care about them? Like, I didn't really feel attached to the brother-sister relationship. And so it was hard for me to root for them.
So agree.
This plot, it's been overdone so many times. I did see that they were trying to have some cultural commentary. A big part of the movie is the robots wanting to be real people and wanting to be recognized as citizens and wanting rights. And, you can put that analogy to a million things that are happening in today's political climate. But I loved when Mr. Peanut, I don't want to say I loved it, but I took note of when Mr. Peanut said to Chris Pratt,
I signed that peace treaty because it recognized robots as a people. I don't guess you'd know what it's like to have your very right to exist depend on a piece of paper.
So real for a lot of people around the world and especially in this country. I got what they were trying to do. It was just silly. I just couldn't take it seriously.
I do think that they did try to throw in a few things there just to like kind of save it. I mean, like, I liked what you guys were trying to do, but like, it's like putting a Band-Aid on a broken arm.
See, that's a better analogy than anything in the whole movie. Like,
on that topic, I was going to say, putting a Band-Aid on a broken arm, that topic, like, just because you have a stacked cast and you spend $350 million does not mean the movie's just going to be good. Like, you can't cover a bad script and like bad jokes, sometimes funny jokes, and a good cast. Like, you can't pour that over a bad script and just think it's gonna like be like like a 4-star movie maybe.
It's like, no matter how pretty the garden may be, if the soil is rotten, the flowers won't grow.
Oh my gosh, I love analogies.
Today's like the day of analogies and metaphors, but no matter how pretty Millie Bobby and Chris Pratt may be as actors in Flowers, they're not going to survive if the core of the thing is awfully written.
Hear that? It's SpringFest savings calling your name. Only at Lowe's. Right now, get a free Select Ego 56-volt battery when you buy a Select Ego trimmer, blower, or mower. Plus, get your choice of any 2 bags of Miracle-Gro organic soil mix for only $16. Shop these can't-miss deals in-store or online today. Lowe's. We help. You save. Valid through 4/2. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. Excludes Hawaii.
Like you said, the movie has received horrible critical reviews. Rotten Tomatoes is 16%. The IMDb rating is 6 out of 10. Letterboxd is littered with reviews. In my life, personally, I don't know anybody who's even heard of this movie.
I go, yeah, so the Electric State. What? Oh, yeah, the movie with Millie Bobby Brown. The girl from Stranger Things. Yeah, and Chris Pratt. Do you know Giancarlo Esposito? Oh, yeah, I heard that movie sucked. That's basically how the conversation goes.
What? That's a perfect reenactment.
It's actually pretty verbatim, and it's happened like 5 times so far. So
it's crazy that the budget being that high, you're not gonna. I feel like I would see more marketing things out there.
I have seen nothing. So where's the money going? What do they do with it?
Where is the money?
Can I have some?
And to put it into perspective for you all, Anora's budget was around $6 million, and Wicked, that movie with those crazy sets, big names as well, was $145 million, less than half of this movie.
I looked into it, and this is obviously like kind of a given, but most of the budget went to this stacked cast, and like the majority of the budget went to the CGI and the building of the robots, quote unquote, even though most of it was just animated, which apparently cost $350 million. I feel like that can't be true, which brings me to the whole Letterboxd reviews of this is money laundering. Like, everybody's saying this is money laundering. I mean, I didn't think it would cost that much to CGI robots or even build them.
For the actors that are making millions of dollars, I always wonder, when they're reading a script or they're, acting on a scene, do they realize this is going to be bad? Do they just want the check? Because I think there comes a point where you're like, wait a minute, you guys, it doesn't look good. Like, do you think they realize that?
I think these professional actors who have been in some really great movies are able to recognize a bad script, and they're able to recognize a great check. So I think they know.
Oh, okay. Wait, that's a tagline. Recognize a bad script, but they can recognize a great check. Oh, I mean,
they can recognize a heavy check. So yes, they know. I will say another thing is that you can't rely on big names to sell movies because, like, yes, you can hear Chris Pratt is in this movie, Millie Bobby Brown, or like Rachel Zegler, but there is this thing called executive dysfunction that I just heard about. And it's not the exact same thing, but basically I tell you, you need to go do the dishes. And I'm like, can you go do the dishes? And you're literally in the middle of doing the dishes. But just because I said, can you do the dishes? You stop doing the dishes because I told you to. Just because I told you to. Nobody wants to be told to do something. I'm kind of comparing it to that. It's like when you see such a big cast, like I'm kind of thinking of Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey that's going to be coming out in probably like 2 years or whatever. I'm seeing a little bit of pushback on it because they're casting Zendaya and Tom Holland, and there are so many comments being like, stop casting these two in everything. And Some people are like, can you start casting some like unknown people that we can start like liking more? You don't need to cast these people and everything. Some people don't want to be told to like everybody. Like, I don't want to see this person and everything. You see people in things and you end up liking them because you didn't really know them before and you see how good of a job they do. But when you throw everyone that, like, maybe the Russo brothers are like, oh, I think people like these people, so let's just throw them all together in a big mix, like in a big melting pot, and throw $350 million at it and just call it a day. I think that's what made the movie flop, because they think that's what we want to see. But we really wanted them to just do a good job, not do what they think we want to see.
They're shoving it down our throats, and maybe that was one of the reasons that Honora did so well, was because Mikey Madison wasn't a huge star, and people like that. She had some of a background, but she wasn't like Chris Pratt. I don't even like Chris. Who likes Chris Pratt? He's so problematic? And I mean, Millie Bobby Brown, we've talked about that, but she's controversial as well. Nothing her own fault like Chris Pratt, but it's like, okay. And like Chris Pratt's just playing the same guy he was playing in Guardians of the Galaxy. Anyways, yeah. Wow. Okay. You learned something new. Executive dysfunction. Vocab list. Ending on a lighter note, how about we both share 3 Letterboxd reviews that we found that kind of sum up the movie. Do you want to go first?
I really like this one. It says, as a movie, it's a 2 out of 5, but as a money laundering scheme, it's a 4 out of 5. I like this one that just says, I can't do this anymore, man. I think my favorite has to be, fucking done with movies, going to learn to read again.
Real. Oh gosh, that's good. My first one is, I related to this. Netflix and I are the same because I often promise myself to spend my money wisely, but I always end up wasting it by buying shitty and useless stuff. And then these two kind of go together, but of the $320 million budget, they invested a whole $10 in Chris Pratt's wig, which randomly disappeared at the end of the movie because he got a haircut by a robot. That was also just a random weird thing that happened. And then that kind of leads into my next one, which is just a quote from the, I think it was the Lord of the Rings press tour when he's like, do you wear wigs? Have you worn wigs?
No, I have not.
Will you wear wigs?
Maybe.
When will you wear wigs?
That makes me laugh every time I see it, and it comes on my For You page like once a week. Oh my gosh.
Me too.
That's so funny. Your first one actually reminds me, I did write a Letterboxd review, and this movie, I couldn't write more than like a sentence. And mine was just like, imagine after all these years finally getting a Netflix subscription, and this is the first movie you see.
Say that I do enjoy a Netflix show more than I think I enjoy a Netflix movie. I don't know.
That's what my boyfriend said. They do have great shows. Their movies aren't like as good. That's what he said. Yeah.
Yeah. It's weird. I don't know. We can unpack that at a later date. This was an enlightening conversation, to say the least. It was lovely to hear your takes, and I'm glad we both got to experience this movie.
I didn't think the movie was a total train wreck by definition, but I definitely think that the pieces were there, and I didn't read the book. I don't know how great it originally was, but the pieces were given to them. They just put it together incorrectly. Knowing originality these days, it will probably get remade in like 5 years, so we'll see where that goes. I do love Millie Bobby Brown, and if she ever does hear this, I think she did an amazing job. And like the actors by themselves and everything, they did great. I just think that it wasn't a strong script, and I hope that they all get cast in their next big movie that does really, really well. But this one just wasn't a hit, and that's okay. Bad movies get made, and that's okay.
Amen. Amen. If you've seen the movie, share your thoughts with us at Banterly at immigrantlypod.com and engage with us on our socials at immigrantlypods on Instagram and at immigrantly on TikTok. And you can find Maddi on TikTok at Maddi Koch. Banterly is produced by Shay Yu and written by us, the co-hosts, Maddi Koch and Aidan Taylor. The executive producer and editorial review is done by Sadia Khan. Our sound designer and editor is Lou Raskin. The Banterly theme music is by Simon Hutchinson. And additional music is by Epidemic Sound. See y'all next week.